Hello everyone and welcome back to STW Sports, and today I'm going to be ranking every Premier League manager from worst to best over the course of the 2019-2020 Premier League season. Of course, some of these managers, I'm not going to include caretaker managers, and some of these managers were sacked during the season as well, so I'm going to go over every permanent manager who's been in charge of a Premier League club throughout the season. Now, despite there being 20 Premier League teams, there have only actually been 26 managers, so there's not really been that many changes throughout the season, surprisingly. But yeah, I'll get straight on with it anyway. Number 26, Javi Garcia. Yeah, Javi Garcia only lasted 4 games at Watford into this season, taking 1 point as Watford sat bottom of the table. So yeah, it wasn't a good start to the season for him, and he was sacked instantly. I believe that 6-0 loss to Man City in the Cup final this previous season kind of did Watford over a little bit there. And then, yeah, they came into the season with no confidence, a 3-0 loss against Brighton. And then, of course, they lost 1-0 to Everton, and then they were beaten by West Ham, and then it was a draw away at Newcastle, and then he was sacked for that. But yeah, 4 games, 1 point. Unfortunately, he's got to rank bottom of the list. Unfortunately, number 25, Marco Silva. Yeah, Marco Silva endured a very disappointing time at Everton this season. Everton were in the relegation zone when Marco Silva got sacked in December. So yeah, for the money Everton have spent really under Silva, this was his second season in charge, a chance to kick on. He didn't do that. It's a really poor, and his final game, ironically, was a 5-2 defeat away at Anfield, just to top off what was a miserable start to the season for them. And yeah, in the relegation zone, Silva did terribly. With a club like Everton, there's no way they should be in the relegation zone in December. So yeah, rightly so, Silva was put and he was sacked in December overall. Number 24, Quique Sanchez Flores. Yeah, this is an example of why you should never go back to an X, I guess. Yeah, Quique Sanchez Flores took over Watford after the 4 games that Javi Garcia was sacked. And yeah, he had 12 games in charge and he only won 1 of them. So yeah, Sanchez Flores made no difference to the Watford team whatsoever. He went back a worse manager than he probably was before. Yeah, nothing worked out. 1 win, that was away at Norwich City, who ended up convincingly getting relegated. It was a really bad time for Quique Sanchez Flores, really. I mean, yeah, he didn't have a transfer window or anything, but still, really disappointing. He was rightly sacked in December as well as Watford. He only won 1 game out of 12 under him. Very disappointing. 23, Unai Emery. Yep, of course, as an Arsenal fan, of course, I'll know a lot about this one. This was Unai Emery's chance this season to really kick on at Arsenal. He did okay in his first season. He got them Europa League final, 5th place finish, 1 game away from getting in the top 4. Unfortunately, though, this season, despite signing the likes of Nicolas Pepe, Kieran Tierney, it just didn't work out for Arsenal. They were sitting 8th place when he got sacked after 13 league games. It just didn't work out for him. The football was dull. The players looked like they weren't playing for him. There were so many issues at Arsenal. So many issues at Arsenal going on. And yeah, Emery was sacked after a 2-2 draw with Southampton in a game they were very lucky to get a draw in back in November. Yeah, it was very disappointing for Arsenal, this one was. And yeah, Emery, it just didn't work out for him in the end. Good manager, Emery, but Arsenal might have just been that little bit too big for him. Number 22, Manuel Pellegrini. Very disappointing one, actually, Manuel Pellegrini. This one I was very surprised with. After 5 games, West Ham was sitting 5th in the league, having a very good start. Just beat Man United 2-0 at the London Stadium, very convincingly. But something just went wrong after that. Everything just went wrong there, to be honest with you. When Pellegrini got sacked at the end of 2019, West Ham was sitting in 17th position. And yes, West Ham only just stayed in the Premier League in the end, but for the players they've got West Ham, for the players they've signed under Pellegrini in the last couple of seasons, this really wasn't acceptable. I think Pellegrini might be a little bit outdated now. Of course, Pellegrini has been managing a very long time, but no, he did very disappointingly, though, at West Ham overall, though. Second season, very poor one. 17th place, 5 wins all season as well. By the end of the year, it wasn't good for Pellegrini. He's rightly sacked. Disappointing season for him. Number 21, Mauricio Pochettino. Pochettino should have left Tottenham after the Champions League final. Staying on for him did Tottenham no good at all. In fact, after 12 games, Pochettino had Tottenham sitting 14th in the Premier League. I mean, that's really not on for Tottenham Hotspur, and they ended up finishing 6th, so it didn't work out too badly in the end. But My word, that was very disappointing for Pochettino. No doubt, Pochettino did a brilliant job at Spurs in the time he was there, but these final few months, though, were very bad for them. And yeah, he was rightly sacked in the end and then replaced by, of course, Jose Mourinho. But I feel like Pochettino definitely should have left after that Champions League final. Win or lose, of course, they did lose it in the end, but still, it would have been a much better time. And he would have got a job so much easier as well. But no, it's been a disappointing start to the season. Just 12 games and sitting 14th in the league. Really poor for Spurs and Pochettino, who was sacked. Number 20, Daniel Farke. Yep, Norwich City manager now, going into the manager who lasted the whole season. Well, most of the managers who lasted the whole season. Yep, Daniel Farke was at Norwich the whole season, and probably rightly so. I mean, they could have maybe sacked him, but I don't think Norwich was staying up either way, to be honest with you. Yeah, everyone did say Norwich wouldn't have it into the Premier League. They were too attacking, and they were pretty much right. Norwich got convincingly relegated. They started well in the first 5 games, but in the end, it was a very disappointing season for Norwich. And yeah, Farke's tactics were I don't think his tactically was good enough, really. And yeah, just generally, they finished bottom of the league comfortably. So you've got to say Farke didn't do a good job, unfortunately. And yeah, we'll see if he stays at Norwich in the Championship. But yeah, overall, though, yeah, very disappointing season for Norwich in the Premier League. Number 19, Eddie Howe. Yeah, Eddie Howe, more often than not at Bournemouth, has worked wonders. He's been an absolute fantastic servant. They're club legend at Bournemouth, undoubtedly. What he's done for that club, taken from the brink of the Conference all the way to the Premier League and lasting there 5 years. But yeah, this season, though, it just didn't go right for Eddie Howe. There's one big criticism of Eddie Howe you can have. His signings haven't been great as Bournemouth manager. A lot of the big money signings haven't worked out, and the issue was this season the goals just didn't go in, and as soon as Bournemouth stopped scoring, it was always going to be a problem. They've never been good defensively, but yeah, overall though, and tactically in the big game especially, you do have to question Eddie Howe's strategy a lot. So yeah, I think that this was a disappointing one, and Bournemouth are now relegated, and Howe has left the club. But yeah, disappointing last season for them. But yeah, Eddie Howe is a club legend though. Take nothing away from the job he's done at Bournemouth over the years. Number 18, David Moyes. Yeah, I feel a little bit harsh saying this. I don't think Moyes did a bad job. I mean, he did what he was asked to do. He kept West Ham in the Premier League. But I don't think West Ham really should be that convinced by it. West Ham, for me, have a team who should be comfortably staying in the Premier League. I don't think West Ham should be battling relegation. But unfortunately, it was a really disappointing season for West Ham. And Moyes kept them up. That was his aim. And they had a little bit of a good run after lockdown. Of course, they got that very important win against Chelsea, which really boosted them, and of course won away convincingly at Norwich. Got a point at Old Trafford, so yeah, he did okay Moyes, but overall, I mean, of course, the football wasn't great, and I don't think Moyes is going to be there in the long run, really. But yeah, I think he did okay, Moyes. I feel bad me ranking him this low, but I still don't think West Ham this season's been acceptable for them. Number 17, Carlo Ancelotti. Yeah, seems very low to be ranking Carlo Ancelotti on this list down in 17th, but to be honest with you, after replacing Marco Silva in December, he hasn't really done great in my opinion. Yes, he's got an Everton team who, they're not the best team, but I think finishing 12th, I mean, below the likes of Sheffield United and Burnley, I think you've certainly got to question Ancelotti. Of course, next season's where he'll be judged, to be fair to him, but I think overall he's done a disappointing job, Ancelotti. I think he could have done better at Everton, in my opinion, so far. But yeah, we'll see how he does next season, of course. But a 12th place finish, though, yeah, still not great by any means. But yeah, again, the Ancelotti will be judged off next season, though, as I've already said, though, in my opinion. But yeah, number 16, Nigel Pearson. Yeah, Nigel Pearson did get sacked, and Watford did get relegated, but I don't think Pearson did a bad job, to be fair, at Watford when he came in. Got wins over the likes of Man United, Wolves, and he ended Liverpool's unbeaten run as well. So I don't think he did a bad job, Pearson. He just fell at the end, didn't he? And yes, of course, he was a big reason for Watford getting relegated. But I think with any man when he came in, how low down they were, I don't think he should hang his head in shame. Of course, he didn't do a good job, but he did get some good results. And yeah, it wasn't all doom and gloom for him under Pearson. They had some good moments, but in the end, their moments didn't matter as he did get relegated. But still, I think Pearson was hot. Pearson for me should have lasted till the end of the season at least. He was a bit harshly sacked. Number 15, Dean Smith. Well, I mean, if Villa had got relegated, I might be saying a bit differently here. Of course, Dean Smith did spend a lot of money in the summer. And of course, Villa were very lucky to still be a Premier League club after the season ended. But to their credit, though, it's Dean Smith he has kept Villa in the Premier League in his first season up, so you've got to give him a bit. I think I give him a bit of credit there. Again, they did sound a lot of players defensively. They weren't great, but the issue mainly for Villa was the strikers. Not enough goals in the team, and that was a big issue. But yeah, as far as Smith's season, I think Villa did okay. Tactically, Smith's a bit off sometimes, but he has kept them in the Premier League. And to be fair to Villa, they were hardly ever outplayed and beaten. They were very much in games, but would always lose by the odd goal. So yeah, not a great season, but they have stayed up, and that was Dean Smith's aim at the start of the season. So see if Villa can now kick on next season. Number 14, Jose Mourinho. Yeah, of course Mourinho has guided Tottenham to 6th from 14th place when he took over. So overall, you can probably say it's been a success-ish. But I do think overall, when I look at it, I think Tottenham. I don't know if Jose Mourinho is certainly going to be there for the long run. I think he's been a great manager over the years, no doubt about that. But I don't think this is the same Jose anymore. I don't think this is the This is the Jose to take Tottenham forward, and the football's been quite dull. He hasn't been getting the best out of players. Yes, they finished 6th, but still, I'm still not saying it's been that convincing at all from Tottenham. But yeah, we'll see next season. But yeah, I think Jose's done okay. Steadied the ship relatively, but I don't think personally he's a man to take Tottenham forward in the long run. But we'll wait and see. Number 13, Mikel Arteta. Yeah, of course, I am ranking Arteta above Jose, despite the fact Jose got Tottenham finishing higher, but I think a look at the team Arteta's taken over. When he took over, Arsenal were very, very much a mess. And I don't think Arteta's done amazingly. I'm not going to be biased and say he's done brilliantly. Of course, he has won Arsenal a trophy. And 8th place in the league, that's not great. But I think you look at the position Arsenal were in, their season looked doomed from the start, basically. And yeah, I think he's done okay with what he's got, Arteta. Once he has this transfer window out of the way, we'll see a lot more of how good a manager he really is. But no, for me, he's done. Yeah, he did well with what he had. For me, in my opinion, he did okay. He had a few bad results here and there, but yeah, overall, though, I think you say Arteta did well enough with what he had at Arsenal. I'd say, and the football certainly got much better as well, and he seems to be getting the best out of more players. Number 12, Roy Hodgson. Yeah, this was kind of a standard Crystal Palace season, really. They got a win at Old Trafford. They beat a big team away, as they seem to in most seasons, and they did quite well away from home. It was a very typical Palace season, which they really faded off during the end and ended up finishing 14th. But yeah, I can probably say it's Palace did well enough. I mean, this was just typical Crystal Palace season where they just did what they had to. And Hodgson, he's done a very good job since taking over Palace, Roy Hodgson, but is it time for them to move on now? Get someone in younger and fresher, take a bit of a risk? I think it could be. But yeah, he's done a good job there. But I think now, you look at Palace, they are doing the same every season. And that was the case this season as well. A steady season without doing anything too special. Number 11, Graham Potter. Yeah, to be fair to Graham Potter, his first season at Brighton's been pretty good, I'd say. I mean, he's kept them up in the Premier League, and relatively convincingly. They had a really poor start to 2020. Of course, they didn't win a game before the season stopped due to the coronavirus. And then he got the first big win after lockdown against Arsenal. But he did okay, got Brighton playing much better football than they were under Chris Hughton. And yeah, I'm interested to see if he can kick on next season, Potter as Brighton manager. But overall, I'd say he had a fairly steady first season, got them playing good football. Did get outplayed by big teams a few times, but still, though, overall, I think he did all right in his first season, I'd say. Potter. Brighton fans will be happy with how he did. Number 10, Steve Bruce. Yeah, I wouldn't have been saying at the start of the season I'd be ranking Steve Bruce this high in the list, but to his credit, Steve Bruce has done all right at Newcastle. In fact, arguably better than what Rafa Benitez did. I think, of course, he's had Alan St Maximin's came in and Almira. They've not scored enough goals, them players, but they've certainly been more lively going forward. He has had to cope with Joel Linton being up front all season, who has been poor. But I think overall Newcastle will be quite happy with where they finish. A lot of people at the start of the season were tipping them for relegation, saying it's going to be a tough season for them. And overall they did all right. They were never really in a relegation battle. They did pretty well. So credit where it's due there to Bruce. I think that you can say that it's been a relatively successful season for Newcastle. Of course, Newcastle fans will be wanting more than this. They don't just want to finish mid-table. But yeah, overall, for what everyone expected when they got Bruce in, it was going. He did all right, I think. And yeah, I mean, he got a couple of big wins as well. Beat Man United at home earlier on in the season. Got a draw at home with City. Yeah, he got a couple of decent wins as well. So yeah, it's not been too bad overall for Bruce. I think he's done a lot better than what people expected. Number 9, Pep Guardiola. Yeah, I'm ranking Pep Guardiola low on this list, and the reason is, I think, yes, Man City have finished second, but when you look at this quality of team they've got, I don't think it's been a good season for Man City, really, in the Premier League. They finished 18 points behind Liverpool, convincingly. I think it's been obviously 18, when Man City the last couple of seasons set a very unrealistically high bar, 198 points over 2 seasons is incredible, but this season they really dropped that standard, and I think, they got doubled by Man United, they got doubled by Wolves. I think tactically in games at times they were a bit off. Yes, they had Laporte injured at the back, which was a big blow, but I've had to question Pep playing the likes of Fernandinho at centre-back all season and stuff like that. It's not, overall, I think Man City have had a massive drop-off, and I can't rank Pep high on this list. I think that second is probably the minimum for Man City. They've got to be finishing that high up, but yeah, overall, I don't think City have done anything special this season, to be honest with you, so I would rank Pep this low. I think it's been if they win the Champions League, the season will be well and truly forgotten in the Premier League, of course, but yeah, they've been miles off Liverpool, though they haven't kept up that standard this season that they had. Number 8, Sean Dyche. Yeah, bit of a standard season for Burnley, but to be fair to Sean Dyche, he got them top 10. Of course, the style of football at Burnley isn't great, we all know that, but he got Burnley top 10. Sean Dyche had them convincingly in the top half all season. Give him credit where it's due. Sean Dyche's done a very good job at Burnley, to be fair to him, and he continues to do so as well, getting the best out of players that he's got. Yeah, I am a fan of Sean Dyche, to be fair to him. I think he's done a very good job, and this season was no different. Another good campaign for Burnley, steady season, mid-table finish. Fair play to Dyche. He's got Burnley a well and truly established Premier League club at the moment. Number 7, Brendan Rodgers. Oh, this season it ended at Christmas. Brendan Rodgers would have been right up there for the top spot, but unfortunately, you've got to say Leicester City bottled top 4 in the end. I mean, they were 14 points clear of Man United at one stage, and they ended up losing out to them in the top 4 race. Leicester had a very good first half of the season. They were second place at one point, just behind. If they beat Liverpool on Boxing Day, they'd have been up there in the title race, but very disappointing end to the season for Leicester since Christmas. They just didn't kick on. They just didn't get the results. It was just a very disappointing end, and players lost a lot of form as well. I don't know what it was, but yeah, you've got to question the manager and the players, unfortunately. And Leicester City, well, they did bottle it overall, unfortunately. Very disappointing for them in the end. But still, 5th place in the Premier League. If you offered a Leicester fan that at the start of the season, they'd have well and truly taken it. It's just the fact the way they finish 5th, they'll be disappointed with. And it's Europa League football for Leicester next season, which is going to be interesting to see how they cope with the Europa League and Premier League, because the one thing I noticed about Leicester is their squad. They've got a good starting 11, but the squad more than anything. And I don't think Jamie Vardy's going to be able to play 2 games a week next season either. Number 6, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Yeah, to be fair to Solskjaer, he has turned it round at Man United. A lot of that is down to the signing of Bruno Fernandes, but to be fair to United, we have seen improvements. A 3rd place finish for only the 2nd time since Sir Alex Ferguson left. So, you've got to give a bit of credit to Solskjaer. Once he's got the team settled and everything, they've done well. So, yeah, credit Solskjaer for turning it round overall. I still think there's improvements to be made at Man United. They're nowhere near the finished article. I don't think they'll quite be on the title race next season yet, but there's a lot of promise for Man United at the moment. No, if they can keep the likes of Bruno and Pogba firing and maybe get the front three, maybe sign Jadon Sancho, then they'll be a big threat next season. But still a few signings away, United, but things are looking much more promising. And Ollie deserves a bit of credit for that. He has got United playing a lot better now. He's finally got a settled team, it looks like. Number 5, Frank Lampard. Yeah, kind of in a couple of minds about this one. Frank Lampard's done a good job, of course, in his first season. Yes, he lost Eden Hazard in the summer. He's pretty much had to cope with... it's not the worst Chelsea team, but it's certainly not a great team. A lot of people at the start of the season said Chelsea wouldn't get top 4, and I was one of them people, especially after they lost to Man United on the opening day. I was convinced they were going to be nowhere near that top 4. But to the credit of Lampard, though, he did get them top 4, and he did well with the team that he had, and he got the best out of certain players. He gave youth an opportunity, And right now, looking at Chelsea's signings for next season, it looks promising. But there's a lot of promise there for Frank Lampard, though, I think. I think that, you look, obviously, he's got a good connection with the club, played there for many years, he's a club legend. I think Chelsea can be Chelsea will be quite happy with this season. They've not won a trophy. It's been relatively mixed overall, I think. I still think at times Chelsea have been, beaten too convincingly, maybe for the team they've got, but still, credit Lampard, though. He has done a very good job. If anyone said 4th place at the start of the season, they'd have absolutely taken it, Chelsea fans. So, yeah, credit Lampard for that one. Number 4, Ralph Hasenhüttl. Rather controversial one here, but I'm going to go with Ralph Hasenhüttl at number 4. When you look at the fact that Southampton were beaten 9-0 by Leicester back in October, things were looking very dull for Southampton. Never thought they were going to get back into the Premier. I thought they were just going to go down. They were going to sack Hasenhüttl and just implode. But to be fair, they stuck with him, and he did a very good job. Since that loss, actually, they've taken more points than Leicester have, and they also won away at Leicester in the following January. A lot of credit due to Hasenhüttl for the job he's done. I actually think that, he deserves a lot more credit than he gets. Yes, they finished 11th. It wasn't the most amazing finish by any means, but still a lot of credit due to Southampton, though, for the way they've handled, for the way they've, came back into the fold since that 9-0 defeat. Yeah, I think Hasenhüttl's done a brilliant job, underrated manager, and yeah, I think Southampton might have a job keeping hold of him if he has another good season next season as well. So fair play to him overall for steadying the ship that looked like it was down at one point. Number 3, Nuno Espirito Santo. Yeah, I mean, Nuno hasn't done too much different from last season, but the reason I put Nuno right up there is because Wolves have had to handle the Europa League and the Premier League with a very thin squad. So Nuno deserves a lot of credit for this season, in my opinion. Done a very good job with. At the start of the season, they had back-to-back defeats to Everton and Chelsea. Things were looking pretty grim for Nuno at that point. It looked like Wolves, they weren't going to be able to handle the Europa League schedule along with the Premier League. A very thin squad, but no, to be fair to Wolves, they turned it round and they've had a very good season. A second consecutive 7th place finish. They also got to the quarter-final of the Europa League, so it's been a good season. Nuno continues to impress at Wolves with a thin squad as well. I mean, they've got good players, don't get me wrong, but a couple of injuries, which they have had, and the squad certainly looks weaker. But yeah, massive amounts of credit due, though, to Nuno again. Brilliant job he's done there, and this season was no different. 2 consecutive 7th place finishes for Wolves in the Premier League. Crazy stuff. Number 2, Chris Wilder. Yeah, picking between 1 and 2 was very difficult. Great credit to Chris Wilder. The job he's done at Sheffield United has been brilliant this season. 9th place, I mean, who predicted that? I mean, I don't think even the deluded Sheffield United fans wouldn't have predicted 9th. It was a very good season for them overall. I mean, they more than held their own in the Premier League, had a good style of football, and a new style of football, in fact. Yeah, very, very impressed with them. They've done excellently this season, Sheffield United, and Chris Wilder deserves a big part of that as well. The job he's done at the club and to make them finish this season in 9th as well, brilliant stuff overall. So yeah, number 2, everyone knows how good Chris Wilder's been this season as the manager. The players deserve credit as well, but yeah, Wilder, brilliant season for him. And number 1, Jurgen Klopp. Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Jurgen Klopp. I think that the job he's done at Liverpool in the last few years, but just this season, 99 points after getting 97 the previous campaign. They've kept up their standard, 99 points. Unluckily, they didn't beat that record, but they've had a brilliant season, though, Liverpool. And Klopp, he's a fantastic manager. He's got the team nailed on. It's a brilliant Liverpool team, like that he's got playing, and the mentality of the team as well, the way Klopp gets his players going. To win the league this convincingly as well. Yeah, for me, it's got to be Klopp. He's an obvious choice for manager of the for the best manager of the season, in my opinion. But yeah, great season overall for him. And yeah, I mean, it was always going to be between Wilder and Klopp. I'm going to have to just about go with Klopp because he's won. I mean, Wilder's done a fantastic job, take nothing away from him. But yeah, Klopp, I've got to go with him overall for how convincing Liverpool won the Prem and the mentality he's installed into the players as well. Brilliant stuff. And yeah, that is my list. Thank you very much for watching. And if you change anything, please let me know in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Thank you very much.